Hi there, Rebecca with Lasso Create. Do you have the problem of scraps building up? I keep mine in a tin. I know that each project yields small pieces of fabric and they're too good to throw away. At least my Scottish thrifty side says don't throw them away. There's something important that you can make with them. But I also thought that they would make great ideas for Easter egg baskets. They sew up quickly so you can make several in an afternoon or evening. They don't require a lot of fabric. Customize it to whomever you are making this for. The fun thing about this project is that you can also do some quilting, free motion, or you can do some hand quilting if you want. So grab your scraps and let's go. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut a piece of wadding. So I'm going to make this one 1.5 inches, 8 inches long. You can also start quilting on your larger piece and then cut it out as well. That works. So grab your piece of wadding and grab your first strip of fabric and you're going to sew, and don't worry about this initial seam because it is going to be covered by the binding. Then you grab your next piece, like this one. You're going to put it right sides together, and then you'll stitch down at about 1/8 inch seam allowance. So you're kind of making this quilt as you go. Now you could top stitch each one down if you want, or you can do some free motion quilting as I did on this one. Watch your fingers. So I'm still not great at this, but I'm going to take this chance to practice. So join me as I show you some different methods of binding these bookmarks. Some useful tools for this would be some clover clips, some pins, stiletto to help guide the fabric through, some snips, disappearing ink marker, some bias tape. You can also choose to make your own. Here's some examples of ones that I made, and coordinating fabrics. And then a measuring tape, just so that you can measure to gauge how long you need your bias binding to be. I'm actually going to be using this wide bias binding, and I'm going to cut it down to get a narrower binding. I had it left over from a previous project. A ruler or grid ruler and rotary cutter, also very useful. And your sewing machine. So there are so many different ways that you could approach this, and I've tried different ways. And one method would be to cut your backing about 1/2 inch bigger than your bookmark, and then you would take your binding and the raw edge, meet it to the edge of the bookmark, and then flip it over the edge and clip it. So this is like a beginner-friendly method to binding. And you continue all the way down until you reach the corner. A little bit like wrapping a present. You want to still turn it to match the width of this binding. And then you're going to want to fold it in at a 45-degree angle, and then matching the raw edges to each other, and then flip it again. And the goal here is to just work with it until you have a mitered corner that you like. So you could also just do angle there and just bring in the raw edge to meet the other raw edge, and then flip it again. You want to just make sure that your mitered corners actually match each other. And whichever direction you're going in, you want to just sort of repeat the procedure. Now my favorite method, measure all the way around to see what length I need. I need the extra. I'm going to go with 25 just to be super generous. What you're going to do is just open it up, the edge at a 45-degree angle. So I'm lining up my 45-degree down the side and cutting the edge. And then I'm going to take the edge and I'm going to turn it in, and I want to press it a good generous amount, probably about 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so this is what I have right here. Okay, so then what I'll do is make sure that your backing is on. Put the raw edges against the raw edge of your bookmark. Now, if you want to, you can put a couple of pins in here to secure the backing so it doesn't shift around while you're working with it. What I want to do is start off with sewing down the underneath bit of binding. I'm going to take the sewing machine back stitch, sew down at about 1/4 of an inch in, and I'm going to stop about an inch down or so. So the point is you want to past where this 45-degree angle is. And you're going to leave this open about I would say an inch. Start sewing from right at this point where you left off. So you want this open a little bit, because that is where we're going to tuck in when we come back around. Okay, so at this point I like to stop about 1/4 of an inch from the end of the bookmark. I'm going to give it a little back stitch. Alright, so then I'm going to take it, turn it sideways. You have this raw edge. I'm going to turn so that you have a 45-degree angle, like so, and then you have a straight line with your binding. So this is your 45-degree angle. And then you want to bring this back down and line up this little horizontal line with the edge. And clip it, just like binding a quilt. I'm showing this just in case you've never done the binding of a quilt. And so you'll want to start sewing, back stitch, and repeat the process, stopping 1/4 of an inch from the end. Now you can also do it a different way, where you just turn and pivot and sew off the edge at a 45-degree angle. I've seen that done as well. So whichever way you prefer, I'll show you how to do it that way. So if you see, the corner is right there, so you are drawing an imaginary 45-degree angle right there and cutting off. So you can kind of see it comes down and then off at a 45-degree angle, and that gives you the freedom of doing the same thing where you fold it away from you. You have a 45-degree angle, and then bring it back down. Okay, at this point, same thing. Pull it up and then down, like so. And this time we have the join here, and what you want to do is come down and cut it. You want to leave yourself a nice tail to tuck in, so I'd rather do more than less. Come in, and I want to just cut it at an angle, just opposite the angle. So, first of all, let's get this mitered corner done, the last one. So you want to sew until you reach the 45-degree angle where you started. So you want to stop your stitching right there and back stitch. So then at this point, all you have to do is open it up, tuck it in, and that way you're not trying to match up seams, trying to estimate if you have enough. If you've ever done that, it can get really tricky if you don't do it consistently. Okay, so now I'm going to trim off all the long tails. So now this is what you'll have. You'll have the mitered corners. So then when you come to flip it, you'll flip it to the other side and clip it, and then you'll get a nice finish on the front, and you can hand stitch it on the back. You could also sew it, it's just going to be visible on the front. So if you want a little bit of a wider binding, then I would go with 3/8 of an inch rather than 1/2 an inch. It's up to you. On the back, all you have to do is just basically, again, have that nice 45-degree miter, like so. So you have a neat little finish there. So I'm just going to trim up a couple of the labels. This particular label has paper backing on it. These are just cute little labels that you can add to your projects, and you can catch it when you sew your line of stitching. Just try to get it in there so it'll be nice and straight. Okay, so now I'm going to just sew close to the edge all the way around. Just take care when you pull off the clips that you don't pull off the binding. Give it a little, oh, see, I didn't catch. No worries.